okay because I'm not there yet. All right? So you want to turn it off there? To grow strong. My mother was never wrong. Said there were children starving. And she just went on coughing. Told me to grow strong. In 1986, this is Faith Ringgold's over 100 pounds weight loss performance story quiz. In 1986, I lost 100 pounds. In 1987, I gained it all back. No, I didn't. I maintained my weight. Well, with great difficulty, and of course with some adjustments in arithmetic here and there. However, the way I did it, you see, I went on a high-protein diet. And with 100 pounds weight loss performance story quilt. In 1986, I lost 100 pounds. In 1987, I gained it all back. No, I maintained my weight. In 1987. Now in 1988, I have 30 to 40, depending upon your arithmetic, pounds to lose. But in 1986, I went up as high as 258, and there were some suggestions that it might have been even higher, but I think 258 was about the highest. I went out to California, because I teach out there at the University of California in San Diego. And I figured that out in California would be a great place for me to lose weight, because I'd be away from my family. My family was over 100 pounds weight loss performance story quilt. In 1986, I lost 100 pounds. In 1987, gained it all back. In 1987, I maintained. Now, maintaining weight, there's a trick involved with that. There's a lot of tricks involved. Some of them work, some of them don't. And we're going to talk, some of this is going to be about the tricks involved. One of them has to do with drinking a lot of water. Because then you end up staying in the bathroom all day. You just never get into the kitchen where food is. The other one is that you can sleep. Go to bed. When you start getting hungry, go to sleep. You can't eat while you sleep. At least I don't think you can. I've never been able to do it. Anyway, the way I did it was I went to California, where I teach at the University of California in San Diego. And I got involved with a program called Lifetime Health and Nutrition. It's a high-protein, doctor-supervised weight loss program. And that's how I lost the first 60 pounds. And then I came back to New York, where I live, and I went to Weight Watchers. And the Weight Watchers plan, I think, really is excellent for maintaining weight. In order to maintain weight, another thing you have to be able to do is be able to lose 5 or 10 pounds fairly easily. You know, you have to be able to, you're going to put it on. You're going to put on, say, 5, 6, 7 pounds from time to time. You have to be able to also take it off. That was a very interesting thing for me to learn. I never had any idea of that. I never thought of gaining 5 pounds. I always thought of gaining 15 and then 15 more. Anyway, what I wanted to do in order to keep the weight off, because you can lose it, but you may not keep it off, was to document the change with the art. Use a positive compulsion to control a negative one. And make it very public, like this performance, you see. And do it often, like every year, create another quilt with more stories and show more photographs, because I have all my photographs from 1930 when I was born. I have the 30s, the 40s, the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, and the 80s in my photographs, so that I could find out exactly when and how I started to away. Because when you have been around as long as I have, you could forget, what you were doing over all those decades. So when you're looking at the photographs, it brings it all crashing back to you and helps you not to repeat the history of it all. I have 40 more to lose, maybe 30, maybe 20, I'm not sure. Because I'm not sure exactly what my body's going to look like when I have lost, say, from 20 to 40 more pounds. Okay, the 100 pounds are represented here in these two bags of weights, which is water, because water is very heavy, So they're just 2-liter plastic bottles filled with water, and there's 11 in each one of these bags, and they constitute about 100 pounds, which I can't pull alone, but I could pull each one in 50 weights. So in order to keep myself honest and remind myself of where I came from, I will pull these weights. And please, I'd like to invite some of you to come up here also and try and see if you can pull these, 100-pound weights, because this is it's not easy to do it. I have been through years, 20 years or more of promising to lose weight for different occasions. I was going to lose it for New Year's Eve. I was going to lose it for Christmas. I was going to lose it for any number of exhibitions that I had. And I finally did it. So here we are to celebrate that. The fact that all that's got to change. Because I think you are so very nice, I want to give you some good advice. Now, you may be rich, you may be poor, living high on the hog or stretched out on the floor. You may be a professor with knowledge of earth, or just a young kid with a lot to learn. You may be black, white, red, yellow, in between. You may be kind or a little mean. But let me give you some good advice. You'll have no trouble for the rest of your life. But if you follow this simple phrase, you'll be a winner for the rest of your days. First, stand up, everyone in this place. Now put a big smile on your face. Everybody ready? Let's go. Here is the phrase you need to know. I can change, I can do it. 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 I can change, I can change. I can change, I can do it. 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 I can change, I can do it now. The 1930s. In the 1930s, we're talking about the Depression years. People took food very seriously. They used it as a display. If you had it, you flaunted it. I'd go to one of my friends' houses, and right in the middle of the table every Sunday was a big bowl of fried chicken. I remember that so clearly. Fried chicken and a big pot of greens with hog, what do you call it? Hog feet.
Hog mogs, girl. Hog mogs.
Hog mogs.
Ain't been that long.
Hog mogs and potato salad, whatever. On Friday, everybody had fried fish, porgies, and potato salad, more greens, okay? Now, in my house, we didn't have that because I was allergic to everything. So we ate stuffed veal and leg of mutton, roast chicken, steamed vegetables. I had more like a health food diet because I had asthma and I was allergic white bread. All these things I grew up not enjoying, not having. My mother's kitchen was run like a restaurant. She prepared each meal, and after each meal, the kitchen was beautifully clean, and the next meal was cooking on the stove. We were not allowed to go and snack or pick out something to eat in between. We were not allowed to eat in between. I, however, managed to have 3 breakfasts. One with my father when he got up in the morning to go to work, one with my brother and sister when they went off to school, and then I could have another sort of brunch with my mother and friends when they came back. They were little bits of food, but I think it might have been the beginning of me like eating all day, which is what I learned how to do later on. We were never allowed to open the refrigerator door. There was something about the air, the cold air escaping. And also, my mother didn't allow us to eat in between meals, so I mean, what the hell were we doing in the refrigerator? I noticed that later on, as I got older, I loved to stand and eat by the light of the refrigerator door. I think my mama made me do it. 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 Told me clean my plate. That's how I gained weight. Mama made me do it. 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 Told me eat to grow strong. My mother was never wrong. Mama made me do it. 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 Said there were children starving, and she just kept on starving. Mama made me do it. Mama made Mama move. Mama told me what to do. Mama played up high, got up to my eyes. Mama made me do it. Mama, 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 mama. Mama told me what to do. Something to be good. Said, get up, girl, and eat your food. Mama, 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 move. Mama made me do it. Mama made me do it. Mama made me do it. Yeah! My mama made me do it. 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 Told me clean my plate. That's how I made me sweat. Mama made me do it. Mama made me do it. Told me eat to grow strong. My mama was never wrong. Mama made me do it. problem with that because I never left anything on my plate anyway. I found ways in the 1940s to eat all day. Starting with in the morning, we kids used to meet up at the corner candy store and spend our bus money for chocolate candy bars. Chocolate candy bars were 5 cents in those days, and they were bigger than the ones that are 50 cents today. The best friends I had were the friends who brought me lunch, because mine was eaten on the way to school. I mean, I figured if somebody really cared about me, they would bring me some lunch for lunchtime, because they knew for sure I would not have mine. I had a couple of friends who did that for me. But with the walking backwards and forwards, we walked everywhere. We never, ever used our lunch or subway money to ride, because if we walked, we could have chocolate candy bars, you see? So, I wanted to be a pastry chef at one time. I mean, I didn't know that was what I wanted to be. The point was I just wanted to eat pastry, so I wanted to make it. I made a pound cake once that weighed more than I did. I had to drill it with holes, soak it, and then steam it in order to eat it. I actually thought it was good too. It had about 12 eggs. Well, pound cake is like that. It has lots of eggs and what? I don't know, 3 pounds of butter? Something ridiculous. My mother used to do aerobics exercise when I was a kid. And I remember that. She did it right straight through. I remember her doing it in the 30s and the 40s. In fact, she always danced. I mean, actually, it was, they call it aerobics today. She was really dancing to William D. Williams' It's Make-Believe Ballroom Time. I would hear her in there, and she would be doing her housework and dancing, exercising, what they call aerobics exercising today. I wish I had done some of that because, later on, needless to say, I stopped doing all that walking. I got in the position to buy chocolate candy bars and ride too. And of course, that's when the weight comes on. When you get rid of your physical activity and you continue to eat at the rate that you're eating it. But I always hated to exercise. I love to eat, but I hate to exercise. I hate to exercise. I really hate to exercise. It doesn't matter how big my size. I really hate to exercise. forgotten. The only thing I remember about them is the pork chop sandwiches they used to bring me. Let them not appear empty-handed. I mean, it would have to be ice cream, pork chop sandwiches, but the pork chop sandwiches were really the best. And they were fried, of all things. See, I was never allowed to have pork chop sandwiches, pork of any kind. But so when I could finally eat something like that, it was like fantastic. The 1950s was the period that I got married. I got married in 1950. I had 2 children, but that wasn't when I had my fun. Because in order to have any fun at all, you had to get married, to get out of the house, okay? Because if you didn't, you were a bad girl. And in those days, when you were a bad girl, people did something about it. They didn't just say you were a bad girl. They did bad things to you. Okay, and so I got married and had 2 children. I went back home, which is, a lot of people did that. A lot of people are still doing that. Okay, so then I really had fun because now I could go out. I didn't have to come back, before I got out good. I didn't have my mother waiting in the hall for me when I got home. And, life was groovy. We used to go to, all the best places that I can remember that we went were places where we ate. We used to go to the Wells on 137th and 7th Avenue after dances and parties to have waffles and fried chicken. We used to go to the Red Rooster and have they had some of the best fried chicken. It was greasy and salty, because anything greasy is got to be salty. Salt and grease go together, okay? And after you've eaten the salt and the grease, you want some sugar to go with that because you're going to be sick, all right? It's the nausea that the sugar is the cure for. And then, of course, after you've eaten the sugar, you want some more of everything. So it's just a vicious cycle, okay? And I was definitely on it. Tutti Frutti ice cream, which must have been very high in fat, because the best ice cream, is very high in fat. And ice cream has salt, fat, and sugar. That's why it's so good that people are standing on line to get it. It's like a drug. It has the 3 things that have a drug reaction on your body. Okay. Tutti Frutti ice cream, barbecue. Oh, I forgot barbecue. We used to go to Sherman's barbecue. Sherman had several barbecue restaurants in his chain, and they would serve barbecue and spaghetti, and it was fantastic. And so we would go there for that. I remember my first husband. We didn't have really money when we were courting for him to eat too, but he didn't like a lot of food. I've always married 2 men, and neither one of them liked to eat. Wonder why? I guess watching me, it turned them off. So he would say to me, look, I only have $5 for the date. It takes $2 to go to the movie, and I have $3 to eat. So, you want to go to the barbecue place, it's okay. He would go and he would have coffee and a cigarette, and I would sit up there and eat. Now, but of course in the 50s I wasn't fat. So look at my pictures. You see, I didn't get fat yet. I was still running around, still getting some forms of exercise, and therefore the fat was not settled. I also was sick a lot with asthma. Remember this, because when you eat a lot of food, you're bound to be allergic to some of it. And since I was allergic anyway, and I was at the point now where I could eat anything I wanted, I'd go out, I'd eat all this food, and I would end up with asthma. That and the fact that this guy that had taken me out, was going to start breathing and perspiring all over me at the door. So if I got asthma, I wouldn't have to go through all that. You didn't have to explain anything, So he would pick me up and carry me up the stairs, because we lived in a walk-up. He'd carry me up 4 or lights are still, and that was romantic. Look at the movies from the 50s, you know? I mean, that and the greasy food together, that was romance in the 1950s. Greasy food, greasy food, greasy food, tastes good, make you big, like a pig, all fat, like that, starts to crave, an early grave, greasy food, greasy food, creamy dips, had your hips, burgers and fries, line your thighs, sweet treats, fatty meats, are unkind, behind, make your belly shake like jelly, greasy food, greasy food, tastes good. Think we should do that again? Huh? Turn it on. It's on tape.
That was romance.
That was romance in the 1950s. Greasy food. Greasy food. Greasy food. Tastes good. Make you big, like a pig, all fat, like that, starts to crave, an early grave, greasy food, greasy food, creamy dips, had your hips, burgers and fries, line your thighs, sweet treats, fatty meats, all kind, behind, make your belly shake like jelly, greasy food, greasy food, greasy food, tastes good. 1960s. In the 1960s, I discovered French bread and cheese and wine with my meals in Paris. On the SS Liberté going over to Paris in 1961, I noticed at the next table there were these French people who were having a great time. I was not having a great time. I was sitting there with my mother and my two kids. Mother had asked the waiter to take away the 2 bottles of wine because, I mean, as far as she was concerned, you drank wine, you were a wino. She didn't know anything about French wine. To her, it was all wino wine, and only bums drank it. But I noticed that these people at the next table not only had bottles on their table, but they had a whole lot of empty ones under their table. So I decided to taste this wine and find out what this was all about, what they were having so much fun with. At that point, I began having some fun too. And introduced to olive oil, which makes great salads, and also cooking with it in different kinds of pasta dishes and pasta, and Italian wine. There was a lot to eat about in the 1960s. I got married. I had 2 teenage daughters. I was becoming a professional artist. I was looking for a gallery. Finally found one, had a first one-person show. Before that, I had developed a political form of art. And during all of this, through the 1960s, I had been promising myself to lose weight. The constant promises of losing weight before this show, losing weight for that show, losing weight for New Year's Eve, losing weight for Christmas. And instead of losing, what I was doing actually was gaining. Pork in the 1960s was a political issue. Don't eat no pork, brothers used to say. Pork is for pigs. Pork is the pig. However, what I did was have wine with my pork chops and bread and cheese with my ribs and truffle. Trouble will make you eat. Trouble will make you eat. Trouble will make you eat. But run out in the street looking for a treat to eat, a treat to eat, a treat. Trouble, a treat to eat, a treat to eat, a treat to eat. Trouble, trouble.
Every July, some of the world's greatest daredevils gather to celebrate the
Trouble. In the 1970s, food was a feminist issue. And I was a fat feminist. Always looking for a quasi-politically correct excuse to eat. And I found plenty of them. In the 1960s, it was being a wife and mother, and the rejection of being a black artist. And in the 1970s, it was all that and being a woman too. People talked in those days about old topics, leftovers. You know, women were always supposed to be interested in new ways to cook food. I was always interested in new ways to eat food. I never had any leftovers in my house. I never knew what they were talking about. Because I never mind washing the dishes. Because that meant I could be in the kitchen alone with all the leftovers, which I quickly ate, while I was washing the dishes. Restaurant eating, I practiced as a high art. I had restaurant eating buddies. We would try out all the latest restaurants and all the latest entrees. We doctor in a really badly doubled up position. And I got to the doctor said, lose weight. Of course, that was no answer to my problem. But what was the pain in my knee. And when you get enough pain, you know what I mean. Pain. And was seriously negotiating how I could eat myself out. I began to realize that my restaurant eating in a nice restaurant had degenerated to a barefoot binge before the television. I'd been on countless diets, including a beans and rice diet. People have a way of knowing when you're on that one. The fat diet, all you can eat fat diet. I think they called it calories don't count. They don't count, they just make you big as a house. They used to think I was Nell Carter of Give Me a Break. I'd go places, I'd get excellent service because they thought I was good. I went into a liquor store once and ordered a bottle of brandy. They brought me a bottle of cognac instead, a $30 bottle of cognac. And I bought it because I didn't want to make her feel bad or look bad. I didn't want to make her look bad. And then I had to stop drinking brandy because I now had a taste for cognac, but not the money to pay for it. Okay, so Nell Carter, Give Me a Break, and the cognac. Okay, so I was really getting involved with being Nell Carter, you know. So I had heard that she was on a pasta diet, so I thought I'd try that. I didn't know what her pasta diet involved, but I just originated one of my own, which had to do with having a cup of pasta and pounds on that diet. After that one, I decided that I needed some protein, so I went on a fried chicken meal plan. Fried chicken was fried in olive oil. I mean, in corn oil. So it was actually health food fried chicken. I gained another 20 pounds on that. And broke the scale at 258. It is time for a change. Tomorrow. I'll lose it tomorrow. I'll lose it tomorrow. Tomorrow I'll lose it. I'll lose it tomorrow. Tomorrow I'll lose it. I'll lose it tomorrow. Tomorrow. Tomorrow I'll lose it. I'll lose it tomorrow. Tomorrow I'll lose it. I'll lose it tomorrow. Tomorrow I'll lose it. Tomorrow I'll lose it. Tomorrow I'll lose it. No. Today. I can change. I can do it. 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 It is 1988. And as I look back, I remember those days and what caused me to lose weight. One of the big things was squeezing myself sideways through the subway turnstile. Because you can't go straight through them when you're certain, you can't go straight through. It doesn't allow for, I don't know why they make those turnstiles so narrow or why they make us so big. I can't figure out which is which. Anyway, you have to sort of walk up and sidle through cool sideways, You see a lot of people doing it. And then hobbling down the stairs in the hopes that the train will still be there and that I will be able to find two seats together. Because there's no way I was going to be able to have just one. Of course, an easier way to travel was the bus. In the bus, I had to negotiate 2 feet, the weight of my body from the left to the right or vice versa, by means of pulling up with my arms, which was rather difficult. But once you get up on the bus, it's only 2 steps. The subway has a lot of steps. Getting off the bus is tricky because the steps are high, and if you come off forward, you can fall because you have to open the door. So I like to back off, and this way I can open the door, like this, and back off, step down. See, I don't have to fall because I'm stepping down, and then pull the other foot down. Of course, the people out in the street are, beginning to notice, shall we say. Shopping was a problem too. Going shopping, I noticed that now they don't have it anymore, but I remember when they used to have 3 mirrors in the dressing room. So you could see yourself in the front, the side, and in the back. And you would go in the dressing room, and already in the dressing room mirror, you would see these 3 huge ladies. You figure, why go in there? That dressing room is already spoken for. Furthermore, you've got a whole lot of clothes on your arm, none of which are you going to be able to wear. It's just so sick, the whole process of going in there, picking out clothes that you can't wear, and then trying to squeeze yourself into them while you're looking at these 3 huge ladies in the mirror. Once I heard some people laughing in the next dressing room, and I said, I wonder if this is a see-through mirror. I was always laughing in the next dressing room. You go to visit people and everybody greets you with the strongest chair in the house. You know, some iron chair that they have waiting there for people of your size. No matter where you go, you know, you try to figure out how you can do the least amount of walking. I would sit down sometimes if I had to go somewhere, even to the supermarket. I used to try to figure out how could I take a taxi to the supermarket and back. You know, the supermarket's just around the corner. But I could use as an excuse that I wanted to get there real fast. I did that a couple times. You know, I mean, you negotiate a ride to the bathroom. You know, only place I could walk without thinking about anything at all was to the kitchen. That I was there without even realizing how I got there. Well, I'm thinner now than I've been in 20 years. I eat fresh fruits and vegetables, and I exercise almost every day. Exercise is hard. You know, it's not easy. I'm not gonna lie to you. But when you do it, you feel better. And you know, people never talk about when they lose weight. Where does the skin go? You know, I mean, I used to wonder why they don't talk about that. Well, if you lose it slowly over a period of many, many months, the skin does go back. Some of it does. But if you lose it fast and you don't exercise, the skin just sorts of hangs around, you know, your body like an old shoe, like an old